Anthony Melchiori. Today is Wednesday, February 16th, 2022. How you feeling?
Homewood Suites.
Or home two?
Two suites. Home
Hey.
two suites. I got it wrong. I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Good morning, good evening to wherever you folks are coming at us from the great planet Earth. He's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman. This is No Vacancy Live. How are you, sir?
What's up, brother? So yesterday,
Yeah,
I think I told you I posted a video on TikTok of how to tie a tie, which
I
don't have
saw.
one today. Do you know how many views I got so far in that little video?
7.
440,000.
No way.
Not
bad for a video you recorded a while back. That's incredible.
I recorded that yesterday, Glenn.
A new one? You did a new tie video?
No, why are you telling lies, Glenn? 440,000. I was like, oh, that's what it feels like to go viral.
Wow.
You know, it's funny. There's more views on that than most TV shows on TV right now.
It's pretty crazy, but you're absolutely right about that. And I see all these YouTubers out there and they get like 1-2 million views, and it's absolutely incredible. I've been getting to this channel now about a guy that does cooking back from like the 17 and 1800s, and he takes recipes from colonial times and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see this guy gets millions of views.
You know what? The number one videos on YouTube are those quick, easy food cooking shows.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I got my little viral clip yesterday, and so go to my TikTok, Anthony Hotels. It's we're going to be posting stuff of how to. So it seems like people want to know how to do things. So now everybody wants me how to do a bow tie.
Nice. Ooh, that's a tough one. I know how to do it. You clip on the little thing to the deal, and then you're good to go. Oh, well, speaking about learning how to do things, we got Mike Ealy today. He's the founder and CEO of Nassau Investments. He's going to share a little bit of.
I'm excited.
About how to invest in hotels and other real estate classes and all of that kind of stuff. Mike Ewie, welcome to the show, our friend. How are you, sir?
What's happening? How's everybody doing today?
How are you, my friend?
Doing great. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. So I think we're going to talk all about, in just a little while, about investment tips, how you got started and all that. But I'm curious, as a guy who owns 4 hotels, including this beauty right behind me, you're getting a 5th one. You've got 1,500 residential units right now. What is the state, as far as you're concerned, for opportunity and real estate investment in hospitality?
And the hospitality market is starting to restabilize now. I mean, I'm loving it. You're starting to get more deals. You got half of the U.S. with vaccinated now, and but the extended stay market is killing it, and destination areas are doing magnificent. So occupancy is starting to come back. We hope that in 2023, the ADR will return all the way. And quite frankly, we'll be going to the bank here soon. So that's what's making me pretty excited.
How'd you get into investing in hotels, my friend?
It's simple, but not so simple. When I started doing properties, I was, managing in D and F neighborhoods, right? And it was great. I got great cash flow. I understood that market. And then I started having kids, they were 2-3 years old. And I was like, man, if I check out of here, I can't leave this to them. Right. And so I started upgrading into B and A properties. And it was great, man. I mean, the difference, the mentality, the behavior. I remember in my D and F properties, people would call me around Thanksgiving or Christmas, around that Christmas time, like, Mr. Mike, I'm gonna be late on my rent. And I'm like, well, what's late? And it was like tax return day, 3-4 months later. And then I moved to the B and C properties, and they calling me on the 30th, 31st, like, Mike, I'm gonna be late. And I was, what's late? And it was like the 2nd. I was like, don't let that happen again. All right.
That's too funny. Yeah. So could you explain a little like a D and F property versus an A and B property? As a guy who's not a real estate investor, it's not something I'm familiar with. I kind of get it though.
Yeah, no, DNF are more of like the demographics where the median income is below. It could be at poverty level. You got high crime rate, whereas your A, B, A, C is more stable workforce housing, and A and B, that's where the income bracket changes, the household income, what they spend in that area, drive time, radius, you know. All of that's happening in that area, and they're spending money in economic drivers of jobs and things like that, and good schools.
Right. That makes a whole lot of sense to me. Now, Anthony will be right back in a second. But one of the things that you do is you got 1,500 residential units, and I thought it might be cool to discuss how that market is really changing when it comes to real estate and living. People, I find, just like the hospitality industry, they're finding ways to segment it, create areas of real estate that people can feel more connected to, not just a piece of real estate, but to community in general, right? And I look at Margaritaville, which we know here, we were talking about them on the show this past week, because they've done such a great job in the hotel business, but they also have a retirement community and are building more. And Mike, today, Disney just announced that they're introducing something called Story Living by Disney. New neighborhoods infused with the company's what they call special brand of magic, and their master plan communities intended to create new relationships all around Disney hallmarks, and I guess a psychographic of people that are interested in that. What do you think about this idea with Disney in particular, and this whole segmenting of living real estate in general?
Man, I think that's a magnificent idea. I mean, just the whole way the market is moving. I mean, this COVID has changed the behavior of how we're traveling, how we're moving around. I mean, the business traveler in the hotel industry was a big component. You know, that's what put heads in beds from Monday to Thursday. And now that this business traveler doesn't necessarily have to be in the office now, they can travel.
Interesting.
And so now they're taking their kids and they're homeschooling, or they take it, or even the kids can check in without even being in actual school. They could take a break, travel, work in a nice area, either buy it because they're like, I don't have to live. If I can work anywhere, I'm not staying in the cold or in this small 800 square foot house. So I mean, I think they'll grow greatly.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Now I know what's going on. I was wondering why we're not getting any LinkedIn comments. My LinkedIn is going to No Vacancy Live page and not my regular page. So if you guys are tuning in, you can find it on No Vacancy podcast page. It's posted to the Glenn Housen page. I'll post it on there afterwards. So Mike, I love this idea about having these communities that really focus on a particular psychographic. What type of opportunity do you think there is for a regular investor, or is this something you need to partner up with a massive company in order to do? Because I've got an idea. I'm a hip jam band dude, and I want jam band communities, drum circles, and all of that kind of stuff happening, because then I'll have my peeps. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, I mean, who wouldn't want to move into the community of like-minded people?
Right? Yeah.
I just don't know if that'll work for me, because I'm a little on the wild side at times. So all the parties.
I'll look out. So maybe I'll come visit you in Party Town. That's the point when you get all set over there in your retirement community. So Mike, what's really interesting is you're the type of guy that really started with nothing and built up your portfolio and stuff like that. And then ran into a lot of trouble, and you can see it behind there. From broke to millions, you wound up pretty much losing everything and gaining your way back. What an incredible story. Just share it with us, please.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. People don't plan to fail, but fail to plan. And, I had big dreams, big ideas. I like to call them BHAGs. And I didn't really think about it. I just went after it. And that's, but that's an entrepreneur. You can't sit around and just wait for everything. Everything's not going to be right. And In the process, I ended up getting, I don't know, 30, 50 units and full service car washes. And I lost it all. Moved back home with mom and dad. And I was 30 years old, and I don't really think they were expecting me back. And so they had painted my room pink and lavender and had roses all around. So, I had a lot of motivation to get back into the game. And I just really worked at it day and night. I had a routine that I did, getting up 5 in the morning, meditating, praying, working out, and then hitting the streets, making cold calls, and then just keep talking to people, talking to deals. But, when I went broke, I studied even more. I met with large entrepreneurs that were doing what I did, even if they weren't into that. I've read it all from plants to superstars and leaders and how they got there. And I just applied it to my life. And I started maneuvering. I ended up buying a new house. We slowly got up to about, I look up 5 years later, we had 300 to 500 units. And then almost lost it again. I went for a development, which led me into hotels. I had the opportunity to do about a $70 million project. Never did it before. It's definitely out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, it's a big jump right there, $70 million project.
Yeah, going from 70 million to doing only about $1 million, $1 million to 2 million acquisitions.
Right.
And just learned about having the right team, the right people around you, and using the right partners. But that I had that desire to do hotels, and I met some good people, and I lost almost 400 grand on that. Came back. I ended up getting we had to go of buying 100 hotels, like I said, BHAGs. And I remember when you do a BHAG, we say, shoot for the moon, because if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. And so I shot for 100 hotels, and 2 years later, we only had 4. So, I look back, was it failure, or did I shoot for the moon and land among the stars?
You said, first of all, that's very inspirational and amazing. And you said two things that I think people need to hear. You said you get up in the morning, you meditate, you pray, and you work out. How much of your success do you attribute to that time of your day?
Man, a lot, because it does so many things. First of all, you're clearing out all those voices in your head. When you're working out, you're pushing yourself physically and spiritually. And so oh my goodness, I can't do another mile or finish this mile. And it's just like that when you're doing work or assignments. Man, I can't do another executive summary. I'm tired. And you just push yourself through. So, I mean, you're training your body mentally and spiritually to do that. And it just relaxes me. It brings a whole new energy to me. So I attribute a lot to that, especially in my prayer meditation, because that's what creates the vision and make sure I know where I'm going every day.
Yeah, that's the gas for the gas tank, right? And
Right.
I think so many people just I don't have time for that. Well, if you don't have time for that, you don't have time for anything else.
That's
A small example. I was supposed to work out this morning. I got too busy, and I really feel me not doing that, me not having the breathing and the meditating and the working out. I feel it in my day already. I feel
I'm actually, Anthony, we know each other so well. I'm feeling you feeling it.
Yeah, because I'm just not where I need to be at this time of my day. So I'm going to get there. But so that's really important. And number two, you said, and this, especially when you're raising money, and especially when you can do executive summaries all day long, you can promise all day long, you can show up all day long, you can say the right things, you can be positive. If you don't have the right money people behind you, you're done. And the reason you have failed the first 2 times, I'm going to not guess, I'm going to tell you failed because you had the wrong money people.
Yeah. No, but one of the things when I lost on that hotel deal, not just overall financial partners, not the right operational partners. And now when we put that piece together, man, like it's unlimited. Like now we're raising money found a couple of brothers that we're working together. Literally, they're brothers, and we just raised like 5-8 million, like off of one phone call.
Right.
And
And
like,
and when you have a track record, you can do that.
that's right.
So I got to know, Anthony, what Mike went through when you lost everything. You had to move back in with your parents, right? And you're starting from scratch. How did you find the right people that were then going to say, I'm going to put our money behind this guy?
You know, starting relationships. I was being genuine. I was being myself. Now, when you start, and it's a little different from, you know, raising 100 to 1 million versus 1 million to 10 or 20 million.
Right.
I mean, but the overall thing is, it's all about what you can do for that person. I provide a service. You know, yeah, they're happy I do real estate, but really what I do is help people get to their investment destination. I act as a bridge for them to get to their paradise. I always like to say, think of a Tesla, right? You own the vehicle, you own the asset, you're in the driver's seat, but we do all the driving to get you to your destination. And I share myself. I share my failure. I share my ups and downs. And from that, they realize I'm a person that just won't quit until we get the job done. And they believe that we'll pay. You know, I will do everything if something goes wrong to make sure they're whole.
Who is the biggest inspiration in your life?
Man, it was T.D. Jakes, Eric Thomas, and my parents. I mean, they just. My dad, you know, I never, this before TikTok, before Facebook, before any of all this. I remember we used to drive from Cincinnati to California, and at every rest stop or gas station, he'll start talking to people. And by the time they're done, he knew their whole neighborhood and knew people in that person's neighborhood. They already like were 7
degrees of separation.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned T.D. Jakes. He's a minister. You mentioned praying earlier. That's curious to me. I'm not a religious person. So how has that helped you? What does it do for you? How does that give you the strength to know that you're going down the right path and helping you in your business?
You know, I mean, because it goes in. Prayer and meditation is yes, it's a higher power, but it also is a programming. You're planting seeds, ideas, vision. You're programming your computer to move in a certain direction, to formulate ideas. And as you begin to send out that energy, those waves, you begin to attract those things. I mean, because you're constantly like, I want to do this. The reason my BHAGs are coming to life, if you have a routine and take action steps, just about anything you do are going to come to life as long as you don't quit. So by creating these big goals, your whole mindset starts to think about how you can instead of how you can't. And praying, before I even got deep into it, was something that emphasized that. You know, I mean, you got people that don't go to church or religious, but use the same concepts. It's just universal principles.
Right.
And I think it's important, whether I'm very spiritual, whether it's religion, whether it's your spirituality, whether it's athletics, whatever it is, whether it's cooking, you know, Glenn's religion is cooking, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I think as long as you find comfort and in something that settles you and calms you, because we've all had ups and downs, we've all had successes and failures, and the second you wake up in the morning to the second you walk out of your house, or the second you're on your Zoom, that's really your success or failure. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you're looking to lose weight, and the first thing you do is like, I don't have time, I'm gonna have a donut.
Right.
Well, that's how your whole day's going. Your whole day's going like a donut. And if you get up and you give yourself 10 minutes and you get a smoothie, you get a piece of fruit, and you calm yourself, then your day goes, you know, in a better way. And just so many people overlook that. Can I ask you a question about that picture right behind you? Of the
that one right there.
Yeah, tell me what that is.
Gilbert Young. He ain't heavy. he was a African American artist who actually was. We grew up on the same street together.
Wow.
And but through his art, he showed Black culture. And so one of the things was always reaching back to help someone up.
I love that.
See there. And so when I come in, that's the first thing, because that's my why. Don't get me wrong, you can make money. Like I say, money's right up there with oxygen. It's very important, but it's not everything. And you got to use something that keeps you going. And me was changing the economics of my family. I wanted to provide for my children's children and my community. And so that's my why. So that's what keeps me going. People ask, like, what motivates you? How do you keep going? It's like, do you really need to do anything else? And not really.
That picture is emotional. That picture is very emotional.
Yeah. It's all perspective, like, what's enough? I remember I used to ask, what's enough? And really, I don't think it is.
There's a video real quick, Len, if I can ask this question.
Yeah, please.
Somebody goes around and he says, "Are you happy?" If you saw on TikTok or Instagram, and they just ask, "Are you happy?" And I ask my children all the time. I was like, I don't care what you do. I don't care. Are you happy? And I've known I know a lot of people with, more money than I'll ever have in my life, billionaires, hundreds of millions of dollars. Are you happy? I know people that are just making rent that are a lot happier than people that have $100 million in the bank.
That's right.
Yeah, money does not equate to happiness, although money does help make you.
Well, money brings peace. Money brings peace. Money's like, if you go outside and you're freezing, right? And it's so cold you can't concentrate, then it doesn't matter. Anything else doesn't matter because you're so cold you can't concentrate. So you need to put on clothes. That's money. Money's there just so you can concentrate. I'm sorry, Mike. What are you going to say?
I always like to say, man, money gives options. Because when you got options, man, I've been there when I didn't have any options. So having options, having your own piece of joy, like when I was in high school and college, man, I didn't have much, man. And we had so much fun all the time. No cars, no money. And it didn't matter where you put me. I'll never forget one of the greatest days I had ever. I was in high school. I was a senior in high school.
Right.
We didn't do anything. Me and one of my best friends told jokes to each other all day, just throwing berries on the ground for hours. One of the best days of my life. Did absolutely nothing. Right. We don't care, man. We got friends, you got family, you're great.
One of the best days, I was in Spain with my daughter on a shoot, and we couldn't find, like, it's 10 o'clock at night in Spain, nothing open till 10 o'clock. So we found this little restaurant with, out in the square, and we sat there. And to this day, that moment of joy, that 20 minutes that we were eating, because it was pretty quick, was probably one of the happiest moments of my life, and when my daughter got her first job out of college, we went to the first hotel I've ever worked in and sat at the first restaurant I ever put in a hotel. And I said to myself, like, I'm going to cry telling you, it was just last year. I was like, one of the happiest moments of my life. I don't think of all the other things. I think of, it's one of the happiest. When my daughter yesterday, when I got all those viral videos, she said, "You're TikTok famous." She goes, "Dad, you're famous." It's like, well, okay, I'm TikTok famous. But like those,
you were famous before TikTok. I mean, did I miss something?
No, apparently, to my children, I was not. To my children, I 100% wasn't. That's the day I got famous in my house. But my point being is, we all of us, Glenn is, I am, you are. We're all chasing it, man. We're all working hard. We're all chasing it. But when we're chasing it, that slice of pizza you eat, that second you spend with your family, your kid, that advice that young man or young woman asks you, that moment that seems like, how many people come up to you, Mike, in your career and say, "Remember when you told me that?" And whether you do remember it or not, like, how important is that to you?
Man, I love it. Because that's what I'm here for. I just wanted to be a conduit to uplift and show other people that you can do it. And I have people walking up to me, even old friends are like, hey man, you remember when you told me this? And I went on, man, and I started that business. It was the best thing ever. And I was like, I did? Okay.
That's
Well,
pretty
that's
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah. So, Mike, I got to ask you then, for folks that have never invested a penny in real estate, how do you get started? What do you got to do to 5 years, 10 years from now, wind up being a guy like you?
Yeah. So, well, if you want to get to this stage, I mean, without a doubt, as I've talked about, one of the first things of being successful, you got to write out your goals, what we call your BHAG, and then your SMART goal. Your SMART goal is kind of your smaller goals. But through those SMART goals, it starts prepping you, getting you ready. So when you're ready to go for the big thing, you can attack it. And then you need your action steps. And then after that, you put in whatever your hurdles are. And you get, once you figure out what all the potential hurdles are and address them, then you start working at it. You get you a mentor, a teacher, and look, pay for it. Don't be cheap like me. I'm teaching now, and I remember I could have took all these courses where you could pay $1,500, $2,500, and I probably would have skyrocketed right then and there. And I was like, I'm not paying that money.
Yeah.
And I made so many mistakes, but I now teach people, and within 12 to 18 months, they're going from 0 apartments to 3, 4, 600 units. They're raising capital, and they adjust their mindset. So invest in yourself. Surround yourself in multiple seminars or podcasts like this, and change your environment. I mean, and that's when you get there. Because what's going to happen is some of them will start feeding you crumbs, and it may be something small, but those crumbs got me started. I remember I worked for this small development firm as a real estate agent,
Right.
and they had 3,000 units, low income tax credits, and I couldn't really break in, but they threw me my first 28 unit building. Then from 28, I went to 50, and then they threw me 100 to manage. And then next thing you know, I was at 500 and began to grow. So,
wow.
But you did something that I try to tell people every day. You put your pants on, you walked out the door. Those crumbs came because you put your pants on, you walked out the door. And what one of the things that I run up against with people, not young people, old people, including myself sometimes, I'm sure you do too, excuses. We all have them, right? People. When I first got into this industry, I couldn't get in the 5-star hotel because of my Brooklyn accent. I didn't sound European. There's a hotel in New York City now that somebody called me and said, hey, it's a 5-star hotel. Do you know somebody? But they have to be from Europe. They want that European accent. So what do you tell people, young men or young women, and they're using all kinds of excuses, whether it be social excuses, whether it be they didn't get the right college, they don't come from the right neighborhood. What do you tell them?
Well, for Anthony, man, I can't agree. I agree so much. I was fortunate my mom would not let us give an excuse. I dislike when people give excuses. I understand they can be reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. I understand that's a good reason why you couldn't do it, but it's still no excuse. I'm like, what it really boils down to is you can't allow excuse. You got to figure out a way to win. All right. You'll never win if you quit. And creating an excuse is quitting. I as a black man, I had to fight through racism and even on my way up. And so yes, that would have been a reason to quit because I was getting here and I couldn't break this layer.
Right.
But guess what? I went around and started networking with other people that like me for me and gave me a helping hand like this and pulled me up.
Right.
So,
That's what now excuses. They'll let you sleep at night, but they won't help you be successful.
No, there's no room for that.
So how do you break through that? I mean, your mom was good enough to get you into that mode younger, but for people that are so used to saying that the world is against me, how could they?
You got to change your mindset. You got to change your mindset. I don't care if you go to a therapist or you go to a group support, you meditate. You got to start telling yourself who you are. Like I would do affirmations. I'm brilliant. I'm great. I can win at everything. I just kept telling myself, program myself, and eventually it just started happening. I envisioned myself doing these things.
There's a UFC fighter who a female, and she would go into the ring, or she just did recently, and she goes, "I am the best," and the cameras are on her, and she goes, "I am the best, I am the best, I am the best," and she went out and knocked her opponent out, who was the best, and she knocked her out. And those work. For me, I went in the military, right?
Yeah.
That saved my life, and I, single mom, dad died, so I had no father, and I could not, like, those are great to say I am the best, but I wasn't doing well in school. I was made fun of. All the go, I was all that stuff. I was a tough guy, but people would pick on me, and then I have to have a fight with them. But I wasn't going anywhere, and I was depressed. And the military saved my life. So it's not enough, in my opinion, to say I'm going to do my best. You've got, like you said, you've got to get help. You've got to go to those classes. You've got to do what you got to do. You just can't. You have to ask other people for help.
Yeah. No,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, Glenn, go for it, brother.
I got a question. When you're putting out a lot of money and you're taking risk, and you're somebody who's lost it all, but how do you do that emotionally? A lot of people are not willing to take that risk because it's risk, right? So how do you tell yourself that it's going to be okay no matter what happens, and you still should do it? I really would love to hear that, because so many people are just held back by the what ifs and the I don't knows.
And Mike, before you do that, I'm going to unfortunately excuse myself. Okay. I usually don't drop off, but I have a commitment I have to go to. So it was a pleasure, and please come back soon. It's an honor to know you, and just good luck, and God bless you, and come back anytime.
Hey, thank you so much, Anthony. Have a good one.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, no, one of the things I didn't share earlier, but you have to be bold, right? You have to be confident, and through experiences, I became that. And that's kind of, and Glenn, that's a great question. My wife, matter of fact, not only my wife, multiple people. I'm gonna say I'm okay smart. I don't think I'm smart. I think I'm more wise, because I was the guy that just went out and tried it, and I was like, oh, that's why they say don't do that, right? I learned by trying. I see somebody else do it, I'll try it, and I wouldn't quit, because I was like, if they can do it, surely I can do it. But you meet people. I met people that were brilliant, and but they were so afraid, so they couldn't succeed, and they stayed in this comfort zone. But my point is, what happens when you step out of your comfort zone? And quite frankly, when you step out of the comfort zone, that's when the fear sets in even more. It almost imprisons you,
right?
But then all of a sudden, you start experiencing things, you start learning, you start growing, and then all of a sudden, somebody comes and extend a bridge because you're putting that work in. But I lost money. I lost my home. I just lost. I almost lost my mind, and because of that, I was like, well, it can't be that bad,
right?
I've been at the bottom, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm still here.
Yeah, dude, it's so true. And I'll tell you, this COVID crisis, because I was doing pretty decent in my business, and I just got to a point after 4 years of starting it that I felt comfortable, and then it was like the rug was pulled out from under me, right? And I lost almost everything, and I could have sat around, and I could have made excuses and done all that. Oh, woe is me, poor world, I can't believe this happened. But you know what? Now that I'm on the other side of all of that, not to say things aren't still difficult, because life is difficult and there's always a lot of challenges, but they don't bother me as much anymore. I probably would have been a lot more successful if I screwed up a lot more in the beginning and lost everything early on, like you did by 30.
Hey, I promise you, people ask me, wouldn't you want to rather won the lottery? And sometimes I'm like, no, I don't. it would have took the fun out of it. Yes, it would have been so much easier. But one of the things I always used to pray and meditate on, I was like, look, help me grow. And when I get to a certain point, let me understand all the steps. So if I fall, even if they pull the rug out of me, they can't bankrupt me, because you can't bankrupt this mind, and I can regrow it and make it come back again.
Right.
And but yeah, it's tough. I had another friend. He was in prison, and they literally put him in the hole. Like, they put him in the hole and covered it up. No light, no nothing.
Jesus
One of the
Christ.
darkest moments of his life. 30 days. And and somewhere in between them 30 days, he made a commitment to be happy every day. And he's, oh my gosh, if he's upset for a second, it immediately turns into jokes. And I can tell people all the time it's going to be okay. But the people I saw that lost everything before, they just have this fight in them. And it was like, man, I'm not worried about it. Ain't nothing to lose. Let's just go for it.
Right. Yeah.
You don't think I'm not afraid. Like, when I'm raising people's money, I'm doing a project, I'm still, it's in there, it's in the back. It's sitting on the
you should be, because if you don't have that, then you're going to make dumb mistakes again. But you can't let that fear control you. You need to control that fear. And that's what we're talking about. And I think that's where the workouts and the meditation and your spirituality all come together to help you keep those demons quiet in your head. Right?
Hey, Glenn, if I didn't tell you, man, this is great therapy today, man.
It's good for both of us, my friend. It's really awesome. I love it. Yes, do it despite the fear. Maritza, you are so absolutely right. And I'll tell you, if you're scared and you go ahead and you do something and you find success, I'm not sure there's any other better feeling. Well, maybe one or two. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, but I'm telling you, winning after working so hard is the greatest high, like irreplaceable. No drug, I can't replace it. But then what happens, like, that was great. Let's go do something else. Let's do it again.
Right. And again, and again, and again. And that's really what becomes addictive. All right, Mike, before we wrap up, give our audience one thing that they should do to move themselves further in their goals in life and how they could be more successful like you.
Hey, like I said before, man, the main thing is take action. You will never win if you quit. Look, get you a mentor, get you a teacher. I always say, like, the reason most people don't succeed is because they quit after the second or third time.
Yeah.
They get frustrated, or they get upset, or they just quit too soon. But for me, if I see that it's possible, I will try 597 more times. And by the 600th try, I made it. I'm the mad scientist. I don't really consider it failure, because look, you will fail. It's not about if you fail, but when you fail, what are you going to do? So don't quit. Push all the way through. It will come to a reality.
Right. And honestly, the only one who's going to remember the failures is yourself as you look back on your life of successes, right? Nobody else is going to be holding that over you. We torture ourselves so much.
Oh my gosh.
No good reason.
Nobody really cares, but they only really care about themselves. You'll be like, I failed, I lost it. And they'll be like, oh, poor baby. Yeah. And they probably say something. They're going to say something to their friend. Yep. But after a couple of days, it's over with.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to worry so much about what other people were thinking about me and how they perceive me. Then when I was a little bit older, I realized it doesn't matter what they're thinking about me. I could be successful. Now at my age, I'm like, nobody cared. They weren't thinking about me at all. What am I doing? Right? They're all too busy wrapped up in their own lives to judge me and give me problems. So that's the advice I would give you. Stop worrying about it, what everyone else says. Go ahead and do it. And I'll tell you, Mike, us sitting here today, it reminds me of a year before I started my business. I sat down and I said, in a year from now, I will. And it didn't matter what my condition was of that particular day. I envisioned where I would be at a certain period in the future. And time is a funny thing of moving forward. And then all of a sudden that day came And I had felt like I accomplished something because I set goals and I built up to it instead of letting the world control me. Right.
That's right, man. No,
Yep.
you
So,
said
Mike,
it best, brother.
yeah, how can we learn more about you if they want to hear from you, if they want to invest with you, how can we find you guys?
Yeah, it's easy, man. Just go to www.nassauinvest.com. From there, you can see some of my podcasts, webinars, learn how to invest. You can learn about my courses, and you can order the book From Broke to Millions. Hey, look, I share my story in here, and quite frankly, if you put this to action, you guys can have some of the same, not the same, but even greater success.
And once you're not broke, make sure you check out The Adapters by me and Sean Worker over there. Learn how to adapt to this environment. Both books, I'm sure, are available, Amazon.com. Mike Ealy, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it, man. This was really awesome. Thanks for inspiring me.
Thank you so much, Glenn. Appreciate it.
Take care. I was thank all of you guys for being here today. I really appreciate you being a part of this. Now you know our audio podcast in the top 0.5% of all podcasts in this incredible earth. And you can download that at Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your audio feeds. Well, that's where we are. Of course, I'm at Traveling Glenn. If you want to reach out to Anthony, he is at Anthony Hotels. Remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And as Anthony says, be kind to yourself. I won't be here tomorrow. I'm going to be flying on an airplane out to the NEWH Leadership Conference. I hope to see you all there. However, I am going to be doing a special episode on Friday at 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 New York time, followed by Friday Night Audit, special time, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. East Coast time, as I'll be on the West Coast hosting stuff, caught up with stuff, and I won't be able to get my drink on until a little bit later in the day. All right, everybody, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you next time.